Good morning and welcome to our 2008 in-service program. As you've heard me say time and time again, the mission of the college can be summed up in 4 simple but very powerful words: access, opportunity, excellence, and hope. I'd like to kick off this new academic year with a reflection on Delaware Tech's mission of excellence. Throughout the year, I am proud to share the college's achievements with legislators, business leaders, and communities throughout the state. I often speak about the awards we've won, the program accreditations we've earned, the articulation agreements we've signed, the licensure pass rates of our students, and the success of our graduates, to name just a few. But as we begin this new year, let me share with you a story that illustrates what I believe is the true meaning of excellence. It's a story about a revered musician named Nicola Paganini. Born at the end of the late 18th century, Paganini is still considered one of the greatest violinists of all time. One day, as he was about to perform before a sold-out opera house, he walked out on stage to a huge ovation and felt that something was terribly wrong. Suddenly he realized that he had someone else's violin in his hands. Horrified, but knowing that he had no other choice, he began. That day he gave the performance of his life. After the concert, Paganini was in his dressing room speaking to a fellow musician, and he reflected, quote, "Today I learned the most important lesson of my entire career. Before today, I thought the music was in the violin. Today I learned that the music is in me." Close quote. For me, the analogy is clear. Behind every college award, every articulation agreement, every accreditation, and every graduate is the excellence that resides in each of you. And in my 13 years as president, I have seen the characteristics of excellence, which are in fact our shared values, bind us together. And I'd like to take a moment to reaffirm them now. 1, we will treat people with respect, dignity, and fairness. 2, in all of our communications and decisions, we will be open, honest, and exhibit the highest standards of integrity. 3, in everything we do, we will strive to get it right. 4, we will follow through. 5, we will exhibit a strong sense of team spirit. And 6, as leaders of the college, we will always be looking for ways to be more effective. This last characteristic of excellence has special significance today because the idea for this year's in-service presentation began last April at our administrative retreat. It was there that members of the college's 5th Leadership Development class researched and presented 2 days of seminars designed to help us be more effective. While last year's in-service program focused on collaboration among all 4 generations in our workplace, these seminars centered around the millennial generation and how this group is shaping the way educational institutions are delivering instruction, marketing their services, and accommodating their youngest employees. Since millennials represent more than 60% of our student population and a growing segment of our employees, I have asked a few of the presenters from the administrative retreat to share insights from their research with you today. So I am pleased to introduce Dr. Susan Looney, Chair of the 2008 Administrative Retreat, and her class members, Dr. Melissa Rakes and Mr. Kurt Hofstein, who will now bring you Delaware Tech, the next generation.
Thank you, Dr. George. In representing the Administrative Retreat team, we are excited to share this important and timely topic with you. There's no doubt about it, the millennials are here at Delaware Tech. They make up a majority of our student population, ranging in age from those recently graduated high school students to those about 28 years old. Known also as Generation Y, the Nexters, and the Net Generation, this population is bringing its own energy, potential, and expectations to the college. And with the college experiencing a great number of retirements, we will see more and more millennials becoming a part of our workforce. As the first generation to come of age in the 21st century, the rapid pace of changes in their lifetime and the nature of these changes make millennials very different than the preceding generations of students and employees. We see these differences not only in the classroom, but in interactions with students at the admissions office, registration, financial aid, the cashier, public safety, even in our work groups and committees. Differences can create misunderstandings and frustrations, yet embracing different values, behaviors, and expectations offer rich opportunities for each of us. As a result, many colleges realize that the institutions of yesterday must be transformed to meet the needs and capitalize on the potential of students and employees of today. And so, this morning, our focus is on how to engage the largest and fastest growing generational group in our student population, the millennials. We will also consider how to attract and retain this largest generation of employees, the future leaders of our college. You may remember last year's in-service included a review of the generations and how experiences and significant events that occurred during their formative years shaped their attitudes, characteristics, and expectations. Let's take a few minutes to review the generations and their traits so we can compare them to the millennial generation. Traditionalists were born between 1920 and 1945 and are often called the greatest generation. All but the youngest came of age before and during World War II. Values of honor, civic pride, loyalty, and respect for authority describe the core traits of this generation. Traditionalists are the irreplaceable source of history and wisdom and are politically savvy in the workplace. The baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964, are optimistic and driven, and it's this generation who invented the 60-hour work week. Boomers are passionately concerned about participation to make the world a better place, about bringing heart and humanity to the office, and about creating a fair and level playing field for all. They also enjoy working together in teams. The Xers, born between 1965 and 1979, grew up in the post-60s era of Watergate, latchkey kids, and the energy crisis. Their need for feedback and flexibility, coupled with their dislike for close supervision, is one of the challenges they present employers. At the same time, they are personally adept to change and are comfortable with that. After all, they've changed cities, homes, and parents all of their lives. They are indeed the new change masters. Unlike traditionalists and boomers, Xers are determined to have balance in their life. They work to live, not live to work. Now that we have reviewed the general characteristics of the preceding generations, let's delve into understanding the millennials. Millennials were born between 1980 and the year 2000. Their parents, the boomers and the Gen Xers, whose own two career parents never had enough time for them, swore that when they became parents, they would find more time for their own kids. Thus, mom and dads of this generation are devoted parents who sacrifice to bring their millennial children to adulthood. Parents help with homework, enroll their children in sports camps, music lessons, hire tutors, and accompany them in every event and activity in their busy schedules. Any child receiving this much attention couldn't help but to feel special. The parents of millennials pay a great deal of attention not only to their children's activities, but to the threats posed by living in a more dangerous society. Don't forget, this is a generation who grew up in a world of fear. Millennials have lived with the threat of anthrax, AIDS, school shootings, CNN war coverage, and daily reminders of terrorism and scandals. In response, parents willingly embraced mandatory car seats, bike helmets, Just Say No campaigns, and locked down schools. At the same time, expectations have never been higher for this generation. From No Child Left Behind, where every child is expected to excel, to the extreme of reality TV, where everyone is capable of megastardom, millennials have been taught anything is possible. As a result, they have high expectations of themselves and of others. Let's look at an example of one of our own millennial students who recently tried out for American Idol.
For Chris Watson, it's about much more than getting on TV.
I want to be a legend. I don't just want to be the typical artist. I want to, sell more records after I'm dead and gone than, when I'm alive. I want to, really just keep it going 30, 40 years after I'm gone. I'm very versatile. A lot of my influence comes from, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Nirvana. So I'm a little bit of everything.
What's going down, man?
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Excellent.
Cool.
Chris,
Yes.
you're 20.
Yes.
What's going on in your life?
I'm about to finish up with my associate's degree, Delaware Tech, represent. I come from a really small town, Dover, Delaware, but I'm ready, so.
Excellent. What are you going to sing?
I'm gonna sing Follow Me by Uncle Kracker.
Okay.
All right. You don't know why you love me, you don't know why you can't turn around and pass me by. All you know is when I'm with you, I set you free, and then I swim through your veins like a fish in the sea. I'm singing, follow me, everything's alright. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night, and if you wanna leave, then I can guarantee.
Thank you. Simon?
Good. Certain people walk in and I think, you know what, you look like a star.
What a great illustration of the high expectations millennials have of themselves and the confidence that they can do anything, that they are special. This brings us to a second key characteristic of millennials, the expectation that they have of technology. This generation assumes the best of technology will be available to them in every aspect of their lives. They have never known the world without remote controls, cable TV, or microwave popcorn. They stay connected, spending about 1/3 of their lives on the internet. They've always been equipped with cell phones and view them as a lifeline to family and friends. As members of the net generation, with wires running through their veins, millennials are used to a world that delivers information, services, and connections to the people they care about in nanoseconds. A third characteristic of this generation is openness. Millennials want communication, feedback, and involvement, and don't feel bound by barriers based upon tradition, seniority, gender, race, or socioeconomic status. They value other cultures and embrace diversity. Their Facebook and MySpace pages provide an avenue for openly sharing about themselves and often erase the lines between private and public life. Their face-to-face communication style reflects this same openness. They embrace new ideas and new ways of doing things, and as a result, they want flexibility in the classroom and in the workplace. So what happens when these millennials come to Delaware Tech, bringing fresh perspectives, a love of technology, and their parents? With the majority of our students now falling into the millennial generation, as this chart shows, the answer is clear. We need to tailor our instruction, services, and operations to meet their needs and maximize their potential. Since most of Delaware Tech's employees are traditionalist, baby boomers, or Xers, this requires us to take a different perspective. The key to being successful with these students is to connect, communicate, and customize. You'll hear these three words several times during today's presentation as we look at the many ways in which we interact with this generation. So let's begin by considering how these concepts apply to the strong relationship our millennial students have with their parents. William Strauss says, "The number one thing to realize with millennials is that as a whole they reflect much more parental perfectionism than any generation in living memory. Colleges and universities should know that they are not just getting a kid, but they are also getting a parent." And as many of us have discovered, Colleges are not just getting a parent, they're getting the helicopter parent. To understand millennials requires understanding their parents, the most age-diverse group of parents ever, ranging from boomers to Xers. Helicopter parents, as the name implies, hover over their children. These are baby boomers who postponed having children until their 40s and are now determined to do the right thing, going at child rearing with all the intensity and energy with which they've tackled everything else in their lives. These boomer parents are protective and attached and have a history of getting what they want. On the other hand, Gen X parents take hovering to a new level and are known as stealth fighters. Just like stealth fighter jets, you may not see or hear them, but they will always be there serving those they protect. These Gen Xers are the parents of the younger millennials and are even more protective, digitally keyed in on the target, and ready to strike at a moment's notice to defend their children's interests. As millennials come of age and start their tours of college campuses, college recruiting directors report that both boomers and Xer parents are asking for statistics on campus crime rates, retention rates, job placement rates, and a library of information on services and support systems. And this is just one example of the kind of involvement parents expect to have with their children. This level of parental involvement is often unfathomable to other generations, but it's not surprising. We know that in the K-12 system, schools have encouraged parents to become an integral part of their children's education. For every homework assignment turned in, every class attended, and every test taken, parents have daily access through technology to see how well their children are performing. When these children go off to college, their parents often expect to contribute at the same level, and many children want their continued support. In fact, a recent survey suggested that millennials keep in touch with their parents far more than past generations. Using email, instant messaging, or telephone, the typical college student contacts his or her parents 13 times a week during freshman year. That is probably a far cry from the communication most of us had with our parents during the college years. In addition, 38% of parents had called or attended meetings with academic advisors, and 31% had phoned a faculty member to complain about a grade their child had received. When they don't physically come to campus with their children, it is common for the student to communicate with them on cell phones while registering, making payments, and buying their books. It is important to think of parents and children as a collaborative unit. Now that we better understand their relationship with their millennial children, how can we use this information to integrate parents into our processes? How can we connect, communicate, and customize in ways which will embrace parents? Here are a few ideas. First, we have many opportunities to connect with parents from the beginning. We already host open houses at each campus where we see parents with their millennial students seeking information. We are used to speaking directly with the student, but this is a perfect opportunity for us to more fully involve their parents. This might include something as simple as having a parent information table to show that we welcome their involvement from the beginning. To better communicate, our in-person and written communications may need to be expanded or revised to include parents as a targeted audience. The important piece here is that we keep them informed from admissions to graduation. There are ways to do this and still adhere to the FERPA guidelines. Finally, by customizing some of our current practices to include opportunities for parent involvement, we may be able to strengthen recruitment and retention efforts. For example, perhaps we invite parents to a special orientation just for them. Or perhaps we provide workshops for parents on connected degree programs and other educational opportunities offered by the college. Or give them access to information on the portal. Having taken a closer look at how we can embrace parents, now let's take a look at another high priority for millennial students, customer service. Accustomed to the immediate response of technology, millennials want services 24/7. This is a far cry from what we did in the 1970s. 30 years ago, the model for registering students was to conduct arena registration. Counselors and academic advisors packed up their offices and moved to the cafeteria or gym, invited each student to report to the registration site at a designated time, and proceeded to match the student with courses. The introduction of touch-tone telephone technology in the mid-1980s and the emergence of web-based registration services and online payment have helped to enhance services for students, but not at a level that millennials expect. So how can we connect, communicate, and customize our processes in ways which will improve customer service? Here are a few ideas. First, we need to be able to connect anytime, anywhere. In order to connect with millennials, we need to be where they are. Research tells us that their first point of contact with us will probably be through the internet. They don't want to take multiple trips to campus or spend valuable time completing paperwork and waiting in lines to register for classes. And they definitely don't want to be limited to doing this between 8:30 and 4:30. Community colleges like Broome Community College in New York have started to address just this issue. As we can see, in the top right-hand corner of this web page, there's a button for prospective students to instant message an admissions officer with questions. Ideas such as this will help us better connect with our millennial population. Secondly, in order to reach the millennial student, communication and processes should be simple and streamlined. The actual process of registering for courses extends over many campus offices. Academic advising, financial aid, registration, student accounts, and offices that handle items such as student ID cards or parking passes. With so many areas involved, communication can be fragmented and inconsistent. While we work hard to ensure this does not happen, we need to streamline the process from admissions to enrollment to meet the millennial expectations of immediate response and results. Finally, in an age of technology and information, when students are coming to us with an "and" philosophy, we need to find more ways to customize a student's educational experience. They want options and they want them now. They expect traditional and online courses, in-person and online payment, in-person tutoring and online tutoring, and a variety of course start dates. We live in a consumer-driven society and it is overflowing into the education market. These customer service ideas are just a starting point. Many of the concepts we have discussed require us to apply technology in new ways, which brings us to one of the most defining qualities of the millennials. Let's examine some of the most exciting ways colleges are maximizing new technology to connect, communicate, and customize students' educational experiences.
Thanks, Susan. We all know that millennial students will want to use technology heavily in their education. They certainly do in their personal lives. However, if you ask them what technology they use, you'll often get a blank stare. They don't think in terms of technology. They think in terms of what they can do with it. For Delaware Tech, it is not about using technology for technology's sake. It is about using the most appropriate technology to connect with our students, engage them, support their learning. How can we maximize technology to connect, communicate, and customize their educational experience? If we are going to connect with millennials, we must use their tools. Reaching out to students via their forms of communication is an effective way to either initiate, enhance, or regain a connection with them. Educational institutions are now using social networking sites such as MySpace and Facebook to connect. Let's take a look at a clip from 60 Minutes that sheds some light on this tool called Facebook.
Are you on Facebook yet? The site is up to 60 million users so far, with a projection of 200 million by the end of the year. If you're not on Facebook, here's how it works. You set up a profile page with details about yourself and then decide who gets to see it. Friends use their pages to share personal news, exchange photos, team up on political causes, or just play long-distance Scrabble. This is the face of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, the mogul who's guiding its extraordinary growth. What everyone wants to know is he old enough to be running a company some people say is the biggest thing since Google? Tell everyone how old you are.
I'm 23 right now. So,
And you're running this huge company.
it's not that big.
And here he was helping me set up my own Facebook page with a profile of my likes and dislikes. Guess what my favorite TV show is?
I can't.
All right, put 60 Minutes there. Next, we added my friends, family. That's my son-in-law, old classmates. Within a few minutes, I got a friend request. Here's a guy I haven't talked to in 2 years, and I'm so thrilled to hear from him. Mark. This is why so many find the site addictive. In a world with no cell phone or email directories, Facebook has become a way to find lost friends.
Right? I mean, it used to be the case, like, you'd switch jobs, and then maybe you wouldn't keep in touch with all the people that you knew from that old job, just because it was too hard. But one of the things that Facebook does is it makes it really easy to just stay in touch with all these people.
Social networking sites such as MySpace and Facebook have transformed the way millennials communicate. Facebook estimates that 90% of all eligible college students use a social networking site on a daily basis, providing Delaware Tech an opportunity to reach out to millennials. Originally designed to join Harvard students together, Facebook encourages connections amongst classmates. When students are connected to their classmates, there is an intrinsic connection to the college. Here is the unofficial Delaware Tech page that we found on Facebook. It was automatically created at no cost to the college when 4,000 individuals, mostly Delaware Tech students, used their Delaware Tech email address to register on Facebook. Now, let's take a closer look at the power of this tool to connect a generation of students who love to feel connected. At the Terry campus, a lacrosse player posted an announcement about the upcoming Terry campus lacrosse game. Here are the complete details of this event. It's pretty exciting, and if I click the share button, I could share the details of this event with my friends. But what's really neat is further down the page. Here are the details of who is attending the event, possibly attending, and those who have declined. Additionally, on the wall are comments posted wishing the team well. Over 200 people took the time to view the posting and report whether they would be in attendance. This type of technology has so many possibilities to connect not only with our students, but also with our alumni. So far, we've shown you examples of how technology can be used to connect with millennials, but we can also maximize our use of technology to better communicate our services and enhance instruction. For example, another site our students frequent is iTunes. They use this site to download music, but there's also an opportunity for colleges to use this site for recruiting students and for reinforcing student learning. Until recently, outside of the classroom, students might only be able to view presentations at home or at other fixed locations. With online video, students have more options to view course content, including taking it to go on their iPods. Broome Community College uses iTunes University to not only publish academic content, but also to post audio and video of their commencements, video press releases, student activities, open houses, study abroad adventures, and even their own reality TV show hosted by 6 students. They have a variety of video podcasts available online that relate to both academic and student affairs at no charge. On the instructional side, if a student is interested in taking a certain class and wants to learn more about the material covered, or if a student is in a class and needs a quick refresher, these podcasts are a great resource. Let's listen in on a short podcast posted for students attending Broom's Physical Therapy Assistance Program.
Watch, listen, learn. Welcome to BCC on iTunes U.
For IP flexion, you're going to align the axis right over the interphalangeal joint. The stationary arm is going to go on the proximal phalange, and the moving arm is going to go on the distal phalange. And you're going to do flexion.
What a great way to enhance instruction. But this tool is also valuable outside of the classroom. And this next clip shows how iTunes technology can help students understand policies and procedures as well.
Watch, listen, learn. Welcome to BCC on iTunes U.
Hello, my name is Marty Guzzi. I'm the registrar at Broome Community College, and today I would like to discuss with you web registration. The first step in the process is to meet with your academic advisor to discuss the courses that are required for your degree requirements. When you meet with your advisor, you should fill out a web registration worksheet.
iTunes is clearly a great way to communicate course concepts and information about student services, but video podcasts are available throughout a variety of websites. Another popular site is YouTube. Let's watch the ideal millennial instructor, Professor Edward Berger of Williams College, who filmed a 20-minute review of his calculus course for his students. Here's just a minute of his lecture.
All right, so now we're going to try to do the impossible. We're going to try to do all of calculus in under 20 minutes. So we have to act really, really fast, go through the whole course. Let's begin. We want instantaneous rate. So how do you do that? Well, what would that be? Well, if I want to find instantaneous rate here, what would I do? I'd make that secant line closer and closer and closer, bring these points together, and look what I'm converging to. I'm coming to a tangent line. Wow! Instantaneous rate of change equals the slope of the tangent line. So what we want is slope of tangent line. Well, what's the slope of the tangent line? It's change in y over change in x, change in distance over change in time. But now the change in time from that point to itself is 0. 0 over 0. So I'm getting 0 over 0, which is complete garbage, and that is a big problem. Our first major problem of the course. Okay, so what do? Well, we can that. Distance equals rate times time. We're going to can that. Instantaneous rate of change, I really want that. So what do? Well, how do we get that 0 over 0 problem to go away? The answer is we inch up to it. We just approach.
Hey, this guy's really trying to make calculus fun and accessible. Remember, millennials like things to be immediate, and the YouTube format allows them to rewind certain sections as opposed to sitting through a long presentation. This is an ideal tool for them. As we have seen, new forms of technology like iTunes and YouTube can offer new ways to communicate with our students and help them learn. In fact, technology is making higher education available to the masses. Access to lectures and lessons from colleges and universities across the world are available online for free. Not surprisingly, students have come to expect these resources to be easily accessible to provide them with the information they need when they need it. A final way to look at how we can maximize technology here at the college is by asking ourselves, how can we better customize the educational experience for millennials? Did you know that technology now exists to allow us to customize students' experiences in a three-dimensional environment to meet their individual learning needs? You may have heard of it. It's called Second Life, an online virtual world that has become the new frontier for higher education. The following video provides a guided tour of some of the ways colleges are using this innovative technology.
In the United States, we spend over $815 billion per year on education. Yet education is increasingly viewed, especially by the emerging gamer generation, as ineffective, irrelevant, and unproductive. Clearly, it's time to rethink the method by which educators deliver knowledge to learners. Traditional lectures do little to hold the interest of a generation weaned on MTV and World of Warcraft. Enter Second Life, where learners become immersed in their own education. Second Life is a 3D virtual world that can provide and deliver a unique educational setting. Join us as we take you on a guided tour of some fascinating ways that the world of education is being transformed in this interactive virtual world. New visitors to Second Life are dropped at Orientation Island, where they are taught the basics of navigating the terrain and communicating with others. After learners become familiar with the basics of Second Life, it's easy for them to suspend their sense of disbelief and feel immersed in their environment. This makes Second Life an ideal tool to practice role-playing as an instructional tool. In Second Life, students can participate in a virtual scavenger hunt in which they locate information relevant to their field of study. They might search for objects that have definitions attached to them, a fun, interactive way to build vocabulary. Or they might learn to identify works of art by locating particular pieces in a gallery. Wouldn't it be great if instructors could take their students on guided tours of the fascinating places they are studying in their real-world classrooms? With Second Life, students can tour replicas of locations they would otherwise never visit. The Sistine Chapel, or the inside of a Dell computer, all without setting foot outside of their real-world classroom. Many educational venues offer a virtual sandbox similar to this area in English Village, where students can experiment with building objects and environments. Learners can work together to collaborate on a project and co-create virtual 3D objects. Immersive education gives participants a sense of being there when attending a real-life class or training session in person isn't possible, practical, or desirable. Virtual worlds provide educators and students with the ability to connect and communicate in a way that greatly enhances the learner's ability to understand the feelings and emotions of people in situations different from their own. Second Life can provide an opportunity to walk in someone else's shoes. For example, learners can become part of and interact in a custom-built environment such as UC Davis's virtual hallucinations site, where they can get a sense of what it feels like to experience schizophrenia.
You're worthless.
Or what would it feel like to take a walk inside a Van Gogh painting? Second Life users can experience these sensations. Instructors can set their students loose on self-paced tutorials like the learning kiosks set up at the Ohio University's Second Life campus. In addition, educators can join groups related to their area of expertise, such as a Thursday night social for members of the International Society for Technology and Education, all held in Second Life. Collaboration and exchange is possible with colleagues from around the world. The sense of actually meeting with colleagues is much stronger and immediate in a virtual world than is possible through other communication tools such as blogs or email. And Second Life breaks down language barriers with support of the Debabbler language translator. Whiteboards are another popular educational tool. For example, this whiteboard in the English Village site functions as a perpetual source of general information about this educational site. In addition, a lecturer may use a whiteboard in Second Life for a PowerPoint presentation. Afterwards, the presenter may allow participants to add the whiteboard presentation to their inventory for future reference. While the possible uses of Second Life as an educational tool are still developing, Second Life does comprise a sumptuous 3D virtual world rich in 21st century educational opportunities.
Despite its surreal cartoon appearance, Second Life provides real learning, and it heralds a new way to complement conventional classroom education. This 3D virtual world is inhabited by nearly 8.5 million residents from around the globe and is expected to only grow in popularity. Educational institutions have found that Second Life distant educational students are more engaged than students in telecourses or online courses. Communication is livelier with a stronger sense of interaction. And the possibilities are endless. Students can use Second Life to collaborate with others, analyze human behavior, conduct experiments and simulations, and explore new worlds. More and more colleges are venturing into Second Life every day. Today, We've spent some time discussing how our millennial students have high expectations for themselves and for their educational experiences. By understanding the experiences behind these expectations, learning about new possibilities, and working together, we can put fresh ideas into practice and create an environment that facilitates success for our changing student population.
Thanks, Kurt. Of course, we know that millennials are not just on our campuses as students. They also represent a growing number of our millennial employees, which brings us to the final part of today's presentation. While the youngest members of this generation are not yet teenagers, the oldest are several years into their careers. At Delaware Tech, our millennial population currently represents only 4% of employees, but nearly 70% of our workforce is at or reaching retirement eligibility. It's safe to say that millennials will become a significant part of our workforce in the near future. In this next video clip, 60 Minutes correspondent Morley Safer lets us know what to expect.
Stand back, all bosses. A new breed of American worker is about to attack everything you hold sacred, from giving orders to your starched white shirt and tie. They're called, among other things, millennials. There are about 80 million of them born between 1980 and 1995, and they're rapidly taking over from the baby boomers who are now pushing 60. They were raised by doting parents who told them they were special, played in little leagues with no winners or losers or all winners. They're laden with trophies just for participating, and they think your business-as-usual ethic is for the birds. And if you persist in the belief, you can take your job and shove it. Corporate America is so unnerved by all this that companies like Merrill Lynch, Ernst & Young, and Disney and scores of others are hiring consultants to teach them how to deal with this generation that only takes yes for an answer.
We needed to know more about this new generation of employees, so we interviewed Delaware Tech millennial employees at all of the campus locations to determine what they are looking for in an employer, what kind of work environment they desire, and what motivates them. Although we've talked a lot about what makes millennials so different, much of what they seek from employers is what we all want. They desire growth, competitive salaries, emotional support, autonomy, and opportunities for creativity. Millennials want others to listen to their ideas and opinions. Like most generations, treating millennials with respect will earn their respect in return. However, what sets them apart is their expectation to contribute without constraints. Sometimes referred to as the hero generation, millennials are looking for meaningful work, for ways to make a difference. This generation has a lot of ideas, and they aren't afraid to share them. Accustomed to change, they want an employer who is willing to consider new ideas and embrace innovation. They want an employer to focus on what they are good at and use their expertise to the institution's advantage. From the start, they expect to be involved in the institution's vision and mission and play an active role on the team. In addition, used to working in groups, millennials believe a team can accomplish more than one person alone. They like the sense of community, and a friendly atmosphere is a high priority. Millennials want to enjoy their work and make friends. They want a work environment that is diverse, energetic, and engaging, one that provides opportunities to have some fun mixed with work. A final example of what sets millennials apart is their expectation of continuous feedback from their supervisors. And in just a minute, we'll focus on what we can do as a college to address this issue. Just as the key to being successful with millennial students was to connect, communicate, and customize, the strategy is the same for those millennials who are the fastest growing segment of Delaware Tech employees. First, how do we successfully attract and retain millennials here at the college? To connect with them, we must go where they are. Running ads in the newspaper or through traditional avenues like Monster.com are no longer enough. This generation has grown up experiencing life online and spends their time on MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, and Second Life. Companies who have a presence on these social networking sites have the greatest chance of recruiting young employees. Secondly, we can improve communication and thus retention through coaching and mentoring programs. A recent survey of millennial professionals found that 60% of them want to hear from their managers once a day. Waiting for a performance evaluation is too long. Mentoring and coaching may be more important to this generation than to any other before it, and research validates the need for professional development programs. Employers without these critical programs often experience a high turnover of their youngest employees. And finally, we can customize by offering work-life balance initiatives. As we mentioned earlier, millennials value spending time with their family and friends and doing what they enjoy. Boomers and Gen Xers were in the workforce for at least a decade before asking for flex time. Millennials are expecting a myriad of options on the first day. If we are going to obtain their very best contribution, we also need to motivate millennials once they're here. How do we do that? First, we can connect by keeping them involved. Millennials are always ready to tackle a new project or learn a new skill. They're willing to work hard when they feel what they are doing is valued and intellectually stimulating. This generation needs to feel that it is part of the organization. By keeping them in the loop, they become more committed and dedicated employees. Second, we need to continue to communicate by providing them with recognition and praise. This group has a high achievement mentality and expects a lot from themselves. In return, they thrive on meaningful recognition when they accomplish their goals. This means providing rewards they value, including direct communication from the leaders of the organization. And finally, we can customize their experience by tapping into their unique potential. The relationship between the employee and the supervisor or mentor is critical. Millennials want a supervisor who understands and matches tasks to their unique strengths, interests, and goals. They want the opportunity to meet clear goals, but flexibility in how to accomplish them. As you can see, some of the strategies we can use to recruit, retain, and motivate millennials will ultimately benefit all of us. Who wouldn't appreciate a more flexible work schedule or greater recognition for the work we do?
Thanks, Melissa, for providing great suggestions for how to maximize the potential of the future leaders of our institution. This brings us to the end of today's in-service presentation. We've spent a lot of time today talking about the millennial generation because they are coming to us in greater numbers than ever before and with their own set of unique characteristics. As we begin the 2008-2009 academic year, let's remember that as an educational institution, respect and communication are must-haves, regardless of the generation. By embracing all generations, we can ensure we are preserving the tradition of excellence that Delaware Tech has established over the last 40 years and will carry forward into the next 40. On behalf of the 2008 Administrative Retreat team, we wish you a great year.
Thank you, Susan, Melissa, and Kurt. What a wonderful and timely message. I hope you enjoyed this year's in-service presentation. This afternoon, you will have the opportunity to attend various workshops for a more in-depth discussion of the topics presented today on the millennial generation. This academic year is sure to be another exciting and successful one for the college. Remember to review our fiscal 09 college goals posted on MyDTCC. As we work together to achieve this year's goals, I'd like to leave you with one final thought about excellence. Colin Powell, former Secretary of State, once said, quote, "If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude." Close quote. Let's have another great year.